Isaac Newton was born prematurely on January 4, 1643, in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, England. His father had died 3 months before his birth. His early life was marked by hardship and a troubled family situation. When he was 3, his mother remarried and left him with his grandparents, creating feelings of abandonment that would influence his solitary nature. Newton attended the King's School in Grantham, where he showed a modest interest in academics. He was more interested in mechanical inventions, building sundials and water clocks. In 1661, he was admitted to Trinity College, Cambridge. There, Newton encountered the works of classical philosophers like Aristotle, but he found more inspiration in modern thinkers like Descartes, Galileo, and Kepler. In 1665, the Great Plague forced Cambridge to shut down. Newton returned to Woolsthorpe, where he would spend 2 years in isolation, a period often referred to as his Annus Mirabilis, or Year of Wonders. In these 2 years, without formal guidance, he laid the foundations for calculus, optics, and the laws of motion and gravitation. While watching an apple fall from a tree, he began to formulate his theory of universal gravitation. Though the apple anecdote is often romanticized, it represents Newton's ability to connect everyday phenomena with grand scientific principles. Newton's work in optics revolutionized the field. He discovered that white light is composed of a spectrum of colors. He proved this by passing light through a prism, showing that color is a property of light itself, not the prism or the medium. In mathematics, Newton invented a new branch, calculus, independently of German mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. This led to a bitter priority dispute later in life. Newton's method of fluxions, as he called it, allowed him to explain change and motion mathematically, essential for physics. He also built the first practical reflecting telescope in 1668, which used mirrors instead of lenses and demonstrated his innovative engineering skills. In 1687, Newton published Philosophia Naturalis Principia Mathematica, or the Principia, perhaps the most influential scientific book ever written. In it, he formulated the 3 laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation. These laws became the foundation of classical mechanics, describing the physical universe for the next 3 centuries. Newton's first law established inertia, the second quantified force and acceleration, and the third declared that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. His law of universal gravitation explained planetary motion and tides, an extraordinary synthesis of terrestrial and celestial physics. In 1696, Newton became warden and later master of the Royal Mint. He took the job seriously, reforming England's currency and pursuing counterfeiters with zeal. In 1703, he became president of the Royal Society, holding the post until his death. Less well known is Newton's fascination with alchemy and biblical prophecy. He wrote more on theology and alchemy than he did on physics. Newton believed in a rational, ordered universe governed by a divine creator, and he sought to uncover God's design through science and scripture alike. Despite his immense genius, Newton was a solitary and often difficult man. He feuded with contemporaries, including Leibniz and Robert Hooke, and could be vindictive and secretive. Isaac Newton died on March 31, 1727, at the age of 84. He was buried in Westminster Abbey, a rare honor for a scientist. By the time of his death, he had become a national icon, hailed as the greatest scientist of his time. Newton's influence cannot be overstated. He redefined the scientific method, grounded in empirical evidence and mathematical laws. His work laid the foundation for the Enlightenment and modern science. Einstein himself said, "Newton was the greatest genius who ever lived." Today, Newton is remembered not just for what he discovered, but for how he thought, asking bold questions, following evidence, and believing that the universe, however complex, could be understood.